Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching or listening from. You have joined to Survival Chicks, and today we are with Hila, and we are with the New Earth Network. Welcome to your new healing pod. Hi, Hila.
Hi, Renee. Thank
How
you.
are you?
Pretty good. Pretty excited about next school year and channeling a lot of anger and a lot of reactivity into some action items for sure.
Okay, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you started this.
So my name is Hila. I live in Vancouver. I'm a mother and a teacher and an educator. And in 2020, when our world went under a major event that changed our life forever and definitely our children's lives. My son was in his last year of high school, and we all know the mandate started, and obviously I wasn't in support of that, understanding that first of all, wearing masks is not helpful against any viruses, and it is quite harmful to a person. And without getting into all of that, the straw for me was the fact that parents in the Vancouver School Board received a letter stating that was on May 2021 that children 12 and up can have a vaccine without any informed parental consent. And that to me is illegal. Our children are our children, and we are the parents, should have the say of any medical procedure whatsoever, unless it's emergency life-threatening one. And so with respect to vaccinations, we were always getting forms to sign, yes or no, prior to any vaccine. And this one, all of a sudden, the children were even told at school, no, you don't need your parents' permission. You can just come. Here's the clinic, have an ice cream, get the shot. Um, that's unacceptable, illegal, and to me, even on the verge of criminal. So I was talking to some parents, and we it was a spontaneous wave of we have to respond strongly and stand for our kids, knowing the harms that can be caused by that shot. And we started a protest outside the Vancouver School Board, Vancouver Coastal Health, BC
And
Teachers.
even not knowing the harms, even if there were no harms specifically to most children, there's some children that are different than others and have different medical concerns, and they can't just go get whatever, right? They need to know, their parents need to know and approve what it is that they're getting, because otherwise they may have a reaction. So
Absolutely.
regardless of how this may or may not be harmful for the population, this should not be a thing.
It's a principle. I think any
Yeah.
medical procedure of a child under 18, it must have a parental informed consent. A child cannot make decisions that are of a bigger picture, long term, after
Correct.
research. That's the adult responsibility. That's a parental responsibility.
Correct.
So I'm expecting teachers and school boards to understand that.
Yes.
So
So
yeah,
sorry, continue on. You started your protest.
it was a summer of a few months of trying to have them come out and have a conversation with us. They didn't answer emails, calls. We were lucky enough to be a delegate in a Vancouver School Board committee meeting when we had 5 minutes to communicate this message. We did it very respectfully. And we got an email back saying, how come we took advantage of those 5 people to push an agenda, to say things that are, I don't know, they just turned it around and again refused to have a meeting and a conversation. Uh, it was shocking to see that in Canada in
Mm.
2021, a parent and educator cannot sit down and have an open, respectful dialogue with anyone from the school board, coastal health. Those are public servants. Those are people that's supposed to be working for us. Our taxes are paying their salaries. So if, as a mother, as a teacher, I'd like to have a meeting and understand why is this letter was issued? What's behind it? Why did we stop the informed consent forms for parents? Any concern, any legitimate concern that parents or teachers have with the school board or coastal health should be addressed properly, and we should not have been ignored. So we had to push back, and the push was pretty strong. I mean, it came to a point where a few parents and other supporters, we entered the Vancouver School Board building, which was locked to the public. This is, again, public servants. Those are offices that usually you could step in. Every other place was open by then, but they didn't open their doors for us. So as we stepped in, they called the security, they called the police. Eventually, both security and police were on our side because we were peaceful people. We just wanted explanations. We just needed to be heard, and we wanted to listen to them as well. But we did want for them to give us some solid promises that they would not breach our parental authority. So that was a intense year, and you know, I think we can all look back and almost feel our PTSD these days because we went through a lot. And I'm very fortunate to have a lot of people around me, supporters and parents, that we were trying, as I said, to channel our anger or disappointment to something positive. Okay, what can we do? If we don't want our kids in the system, can we exit and build the alternative one? What would it take? What do we need? How can we find solutions that can fit different people's needs? And that we were embarking on another journey of, instead of fighting, collaborating and co-creating. And the co-founder,
Yay.
I know it's there's a silver lining in everything, right? And this so-called pandemic really pushed us to be the best of who we are.
Yay.
Yeah.
I do really believe the answer lies within ourselves to just set up other systems, parallel systems. After I saw the truckers, you know, and I not to say that I don't appreciate the people gathering and the people talking to each other and the people protesting. It's all great because it shows that there are people out there that are on your side and believe the things that you believe, and we need to stand up for our rights, etc. So I love that. However, after I saw what happened with the truckers, I thought, okay, well, this is the biggest movement we've ever seen in our history. And if this didn't do anything, literally, then I don't think any other smaller movement will do anything either. I don't think it's about that. I don't think that is the way. So then I thought, what is the way then? If we can't stand up united and tell them that we want something different, then what is it? And then I came to a place where I began to understand that they need us actually probably a lot more than we need them. So we think that we need them because currently we need them because we're enrolled in all of the systems. You know, all of the systems that are socially available are, most people are in some way or another. And so, you know, it seems like we need them. But if we just stop fighting and try to tear down the system or try to change their system and decide that we will set up our new system and we exit from their system, that's when they're going to have a huge problem. They can't continue this without us.
Totally agree. I think it can be both ways, right? It depends on some people's, so to speak, calling, right? Some people are in the system and they will work from within the system to break it down, right? And some people are more of the wayshowers. They will build the new earth, right? They have the vision and the capacity to move forward with envision and start living, feeling it now and living what, as I love Charles Eisenstein, what he's called the more beautiful earth our hearts desire. So, I mean, I learned to respect everybody, and I know there's frustration sometimes when we don't see action item, but I want to teach myself to see everything as inspiring. Like the truckers, they've created what they've created. They started a momentum. They had many successes. I'm inspired by so many people that are working on a large scale project and are visible and out there. And I'm inspired by my neighbor who took their kids out of school, they're homeschooling, they're like into the day in, day out, kind of busy life. So everyone in their own way contributes to the bigger picture. But the tipping point is here, and I'm feeling excited because I'm feeling that a huge change for the best of humanity is coming. And this is what I'm holding in myself. And I love it when other people are in support of that. And this is what we're here to do, to hold each other, right? For like, it's happening, we're doing it, it is it. And in terms of the actions that we took, so Michael Fraser is the co-founder of New Earth Network, and he was telling me, Hila, you have your own after school care business and educational programs. It's like a learning pod. Why won't you teach people that are homeschooling how to create their own learning pod and do something similar like you're doing, so they can pull their kids out, they can work either under homeschooling or unschooling or any title they want, and they can do it on their own, just one family. They can have some families together and everybody takes their part. They can hire a teacher, they can do it as a small business. There's different configuration to make it happen. You can design your own learning pod. It depends on the families that come together and really want to do that and understand the importance of that to their children. And of course, there's an economical, financial aspect to it too. So this is why people need to come together and look into what works for them. It's not a cookie cutter. It's like, okay,
Yay.
yeah, we are the families that live here in Vancouver in this Campy Village neighborhood, or we're on the Sunshine Coast, we're living in Roberts Creek or in Fall River, wherever. What works for us? How close are we to each other? What is my profession? What can I, or my skills and talents, right? What can I bring to the pod? Can I allocate 1 day, 2 days? Maybe I will be paying money for other parents to teach, or maybe we all hire a teacher 3 times a week. And there's endless possibilities if we shift our perception and understand that we want to do it. We can do it. This is for our children's well-being. And this is to create human beings that can be resilient and they can live through those hard times, but also be equipped to create the most beautiful earth that we were destined to live on.
I love it, Hila. I'm so glad we're having this chat. I'm so glad you've come to that perspective and that you're doing this, because, like, literally, I was just talking to a friend the other day, and I think people just literally aren't aware of what the options may be, because the options have just been presented, so far as you go to school, you put your kids in school, and that's it. They have to go to school. And so now, things are shifting, and I think it's shifting, like, I think that the silver lining is that it's making room for this opportunity that we didn't even know was possible. And because of what's going on in the world, more people are looking for something outside the box. They're looking for a different opportunity. So I know several people in the last few years they have one of their kids that just doesn't want to go to school. And specifically, someone that I know, like his daughter just hasn't been to school in 2 years. And she hasn't been to school probably because she gets bullied, probably because she feels uncomfortable, probably because that's just where she is in her life. She doesn't want to go. I mean, I don't blame her for 1 second. School was uncomfortable for a long time for me. I hated it. And so she might be going through some more challenges than I went through, and she doesn't want to go. And so that's fair. But, his family is split family now. And so, nobody's forcing her to go. He's incapable of forcing her to go. And so she's not going to school. So he's like, there needs to be a solution because I can't just have my daughter not doing anything throughout the day for years on end. Like, what do I do? And then he also knows about the discussion that we're going to have with the soji and what's being implemented in the curriculum at the moment. And he knows his kids are young and they're exposed to all of that and he doesn't like it. And like, why should he? So, I was like, hey, pull your kids. If you pull your kids, and he's got more than one, if you pull your kids and maybe just do it as a family unit or join with other families, because there's other families who have the same similar thoughts, and we come together and you school them like together at home or in someone else's home or whatever. Do you think your daughter might want to go then? Like, probably there's a much greater chance that she's going to want to do that with the people she knows and feels comfortable with than going to the high school that is uncomfortable for her. So thank you for coming up with this. And I'm super excited to hear a little bit more about what you've got going on.
But first of all, I want to say that I sympathize with parents that go through that. There's so many challenges right now to different families, split families, children, a lot of mental health issues, physical issues. So my heart goes to the families, and we're all going through ups and downs. Like I went myself through a period a few months ago that was very challenging on many levels and came out on the other side. And it's really, we need to be patient and kind of love ourselves and forgive and face all the fears. And with respect to families and pulling the kids out, you see, this is where we're called to take responsibility. We are used so much to give our power away, right? In so many ways. And in the school system, as you said, you drop off your kid, you pick them up, you don't even know really who's the teacher, what they're about, what are they teaching. Some parents do, but most parents are so busy in the enslavement that was created that they're dependent. And we've created a very toxic codependency with systems, so to speak. So again, it's about understanding that first. And when there's a will, there's a way. So I trust that parents like him, that seeing the child that is not happy, that is going through tough times, that have some needs that are not being met, what are our priorities? Our children, they're the future. Like we love our children. We have to understand that we need to take action and responsibility. If you think about indigenous societies, tribal societies, the community, the village was where children were learning. It was a multi-age type of learning with the farm animals, with what needs to be done around. I don't care if you're a techie person or a farmer, teach your child what you're doing. And if they're more inclined to something else, then talk to your friend who is doing what the children are interested in, and let's create it together.
So good. So we had that conversation, he and I as well. I do have another friend who has her kids in a Waldorf school, and they are outside 3 out of the 5 days, and they learn like skills like sewing and cooking and nutrition and all kinds of outdoor stuff and plants and gardening and whatever. Like, how cool is that? And also, so I now live on a homestead, and I have come to this conclusion here. So my life is quite remote and different than most people's at this point, I would have to say. Most people's living in the city anyways. And I find myself when I do work and when I come home from work, I'm like, oh, what's happened? What's going on now? I'm like, okay. And I have to sit here and go, how do I solve this? And I'm problem solving all the time. Or I am taking the time to do chores and like look after my animals and feed them and water them and clean their areas and whatever. And I observe them to see what it is that they're doing, because like we lost a duck the other day. So I'm like, where did the ducks go? And next thing you know, I'm spending, an hour walking up and down the shorelines looking for my duck. Okay, so last night the same thing. I lost a duck and I was like, okay, where's this duck now? So I found him on the shore. I couldn't get him because it was high tide, so I just left him knowing he'd be okay, and he showed up this morning. But my point is I spend so much time looking at nature, putting my hands in the dirt, looking at my plants, trying to figure out why my greenhouse has bugs. Like, so and problem solving. I problem solve all day, every day. And I go, wow, this is really saving me from thinking about the crap that happened at work yesterday. It's already happened, it's already over, but I would have maybe have come home and like ruminated on that. Instead, I
Mm.
didn't even have time. So it's way more
I feel like what
mentally.
Yeah, like you're saying, it keeps you present in the moment and also connected to nature and natural cycles or animal behaviors. It's like you're really living fully in the moment with what's around you on many levels. And this is what we want to come back to, the way I see it.
I think it's the most mentally stabilizing. It's the most mentally healthy way of doing things. Like it just, no matter what, I have something to think about. Whereas if I were in the city and I'd come home from work, I would have literally nothing to do except for turn on the TV and eat in front of the TV, unless I've got like a side project or something going on. So there's a lot of time for me to ruminate or think about things that I don't otherwise need to think about here.
I love what you're saying. It really gives a different perspective. Like some people are feeling intimidated, right? Wow, it's a lot of work, or I'm not used to this and that. And at the
And it
same
is.
And it is, but so many gifts in it, so many rewards in it, right? Again, just like you're saying, you're in the moment. You're not dwelling on the past.
I don't
You're
have time to dwell on anything.
you're not concerned about the future, like here now, attending what needs your attention.
I am not concerned about the future. I don't think about like when, I don't think about anything in the future really, except for, okay, what can I do today? What can I move forward with today? I got so many things I need to do. So constantly I'm like doing something, doing something, doing something. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
and you're
interesting.
working on something that is your passion. So that's how you create your future. You're in the moment, engage with what your passion is, what's around you. And again, sometimes there are challenges that are not very pleasant, but when we're conscious about why we're doing it, our attitude changes, right? And I just want to reiterate, like it's not like all lovey-dovey pinky, we're going to move into a fantasy of its perfect world. uh,
No,
we'll we'll have different challenges, and we are having different challenges, but I think we're more truthful to our core values and principles.
100%. And also, these challenges, I say anybody who is going to step out from the norm, from the usual of what they have been doing, will encounter some challenges. I have no doubt. But also, these challenges are, I feel like they're building you as a human being. You overcome those challenges, and now you have a little bit more self confidence in the way that you do things or what you're capable of. I mean,
And
so
humility, and humility.
yeah. I
And
live like
I
super
praise that a lot.
remote.
Mm.
I I live super remote. I can't just call somebody to help me with something. So as an example, my fridge was leaking everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna need a new fridge. Like, what a hassle. So I phoned one of my friends, or I sent him some pictures, and he's in like, air conditioning or whatever. And he was like, your fridge is leaking everywhere. I'm like, I know. Like, what do I do? Can you fix it? And he's like, Google it. Google it. So I Googled it. I took the freezer apart. It wasn't hard, actually. I just had to watch this guy. He did all the things. I'm like, okay, wait, rewind. And I did all the things that he did. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to do it. I fixed my fridge. It doesn't leak anymore. It's
Yeah.
been like a month and a half and it doesn't leak. And I'm like, huh, I thought I needed a new fridge. If I was in the city, I would have called somebody. They would have charged me or said, you need a new fridge. And I would have had to pay a couple grand to get a new fridge. Like, this is a big, big difference?
That's an amazing story of becoming more resilient, but and by learning, right? You are learning and you're following, the steps, and what an accomplishment, right? It feels good.
It
It just
feels good. And certainly there's going to be more challenges. So anybody who wants to step outside of their usual norm, but I welcome them. I think it's a good thing. It's a character building thing.
yeah, and I think we still want and have to have that safety net of a community,
Oh, yes.
whether nearby or even an online community is important. So keeping that in mind, that we're not alone, you're not alone. Yes, sometimes it feels like that, and sometimes technically you're remote and you are, but there'll be a way, right? And it's, again, it comes from the inner work of the universe is friendly and I'm always taken care of. And if I can stay on this wavelength, vibration, frequency, whatever people want to call it, positive thinking, then we feel it, and when we feel it, we are supported. Things show up. We don't need to think too hard of a solution. It almost comes with ease and grace if we just allow it. And that's a lot of um, investment in changing the way we think, that all the old paradigm type of living and thinking and being is falling apart. You know what? So we might as well kind of let it go and not fight it and resist it. And at the same time, vision, feel into the new paradigm. What does it look like, and what are our role in it too, right? I mean, for me, um, and it can come naturally. If I'm a teacher, if I'm an educator and a parent coach, then this is what I'm going to do in a time of crisis. I'm going to help parents. I'm going to be thinking,
Nice.
okay, other than the school system, what other system we can create? I don't have to change myself into something different. We can use our own skills, vocation, hobbies,
Nice.
professions in order to bring it to the table to to live the new paradigm now. Actually, we can live it now. We don't have to think that, oh, it'll take time, it's hard. All those thoughts sometimes are holding us back.
Oh, yeah.
So, so for me, what I see now, it's a lot of inner work, and then it's
Mm.
outer work, and one reflecting the other. And it's a fine tuning, and it's calling out to community. It's bringing people that are on the same mind, so to speak. But even people that are not, I find myself having, as I said, we learn how to be humble and humility. And I've stumbled and fallen down a few times through this period to realize, what, I have compassion to everybody. I don't use labels. I don't call people sheep or this or that. I'm like, what, everybody is different, and the fear affects us in different way. I feel blessed that I wasn't that affected by the fear factor that was pushed on us in such a brutal way, but some people were. So I want to be more compassionate, and if there's an opening to speak to someone and kind of help them out, you see how people waking up, and more people that you wouldn't have thought, they're kind of waking up, maybe slower, but I feel that a lot of people are starting to get it.
Well, that's great news. That is great news. At the same time, I don't feel like it's my job to wake anybody up. It took me time to get here. I thought that it was. But everybody, like you said, is on their own journeys, on their own path. They need to do what it is that they need to do in this lifetime for themselves and for their family and for, what their beliefs are. And that's fine. That's just a part of our journey too. It's, everybody's got a different take, a different perspective, and a different way of doing things. And they're in a different place than we are. And so that's okay. I'm
Yeah, and
here to
yeah,
we're here to talk to those who like are awake and gently talk to those who may not be.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you can't force somebody to be awake anyways.
No.
And it might backfire on you. So I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, we need to discern, how far
Yes,
to go. Because
discernment.
yes, it's a beautiful segue to the on the topic of many people are awakening to mention here the 1 million March for the Children.
Okay.
So with respect to all the things that we've been seeing in the school, the mandates, and then even outside of the school, drag queen storytelling of people that I don't think would pass criminal record check. Why are they with children? And then we have the SOGI curriculum across Canada and worldwide, which is sexual orientation and gender identity indoctrination without parental consent, again, about um, principles and ideas that can be unacceptable to some of us. So why would school even go there? When that started more than a year ago, there were many few people. Now you see, it's uniting people. That's the beauty of it. They try to um, do something to separate us, but what happens is we get united. People from different religions, walks of life, ethnicities are coming together on September 20th, all across Canada in so many cities. And at about 11, they're going to pull the kids out of school. And at 1 o'clock, there'll be a march and a talk in different cities about why are we doing this. So there are a few people that are leading this. Ottawa will be the main hub for that. So I encourage parents to look it up and to listen because it'll be very inspiring and encouraging. And again, we're taking back our power and we're not doing it with violence or with militant ways. No, we're doing it with peace and love and compassion and with creating healthy boundaries with keeping the well-being of our children in mind because we know the harms that already have been done in terms of the SOGI to children, the confusion, gender dysphoria, bodily mutilation, teaching children things that are scientifically incorrect, having more than biological two sexes. I mean, that's unheard of. And some pornography material in schools,
Children's books.
books text. So, we have to stand for our children. And again,
Hmm.
you don't have to be a fighter to do that. You just need to be a responsible adult, a parent that care about your children. And we're not against the LGBT community. We're not against uh,
Right.
trans people. If you're an adult and you have issues or you have preferences, it's a free country. Do whatever you want to do, but do
That's right.
not bring it to the schools and don't coerce it on children behind parents' backs and then
And
take away the parents' rights and ability to protect their children.
that's right. Yeah, 100%. We're not against any of those groups. We're not against any of those movements. We're not against personal freedom, personal choice. I think that's what we actually stand for is personal choice. Personal choice when it comes to the vaccine, personal choice when it comes to medical procedures, personal choice when it comes to your sexual identity or your preferences of sexual partners. Personal choice, I'll go ahead. Yay, I'm so excited about personal choice. Just what we're talking about here is indoctrinating or bringing in sexually charged content into a child's mind. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think many parents feel it's a good idea. And so, hence, people are getting upset as to, what is being taught in the schools because these are children. So it seems almost predatorial, we could call it, to have like sex ed, and sexual preferences of the bedroom taught at such a young age. Yeah, I think it's very confusing.
Yeah, they really stretch it to it's not it's beyond not age appropriate, so to speak. I mean, we did have sex education in school, but it was very minimal, and
Yeah.
the parents actually were talked prior to that, and we're explaining what's going to happen, and had the right to take the kids out or leave them
Right.
in. So, because we were informed, but they rolled out the soji. I tell you, Renee, so many parents are clueless. They don't even know it exists. So now, when they start to know,
Yes.
that's what wakes them up. They're like, I didn't even know. No way I'm allowing that. No way I'm going to support that. And I have to do something to protect my children and other children, all children.
Yeah.
And our government is just running rogue. It's really unfathomable to see in Canada right now. What are they doing? What kind of bills are they passing? Censorship,
Yeah.
um, making physicians uh, uh, follow them, and if not, fining them or putting them in jail. And same to parents. I mean, I'm talking like as if we're talking about a communist fascist country.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we are.
So people have to see that bigger picture. People have to scratch the surface, go deeper, and understand that if that we need to take actions now. Otherwise, you know, it's
And
going.
even just looking at our children, you need to take an action now if you don't believe what is happening in the school is good for your child, period. And if that action is quiet and you pull your child out, or if that action is loud and you make your voice known, I mean, there's all different kinds of ways of doing it.
Absolutely. And again, not everybody was meant to be in the public space
No,
and to
no,
lead and shout or even speak and educate. Not everybody,
no.
but do your part in any way that you can and you feel comfortable with,
Yeah,
and take baby steps, but do something.
yeah. So tell us how your system works. How, like, so for my friend, how would he, go about getting more information on how to pull his kids out of school and what to do?
Yes. First of all, there's so many things available online. So I'm going to speak about what we've created, but people are welcome to just look up learning pods, unschooling, alternative schooling. Really do your research so you'll find the best solution for yourself, because there are many. What we've
Great.
created is it's called Learning Pods Leaders Training. So if you want to start your own pod, you go to our website, which is not fully ready, but hey, who's perfect?
That's
And
right.
it will be soon, hopefully sooner. And what we're basically teaching people is 4 modules, and each module focuses on a relevant theme to get started. So the first one is how to structure a learning pod, different ways how to design it. And the second one is about how to implement your core values, your own principles. What does it look like? The third one is about agreements and liability. So if you started as a business or any kind of community, you want to have some guidelines, some agreements, some things that you all um, there's consent about, and it's important to put things in writing. So we give importance to the structure. It's not just an airy fairy kumbaya hippie type. Like, we also want to create a good structure that can hold the content.
I
And
like it.
yeah, we need to be practical. I mean, this is my week link in life, and so this is why I'm like, yeah, I need to learn that. So I'm happy to also teach from my experience about that. And in your core values, you can still have beautiful, more so, let's say, metaphysical, mystical issues that you want to discuss, but you got to anchor it in the body, in structure, in the here and now, physical, because this is where we are. We're in the
Yep.
physical world. So that's the third module, and the fourth one is about start it. So marketing and how do you outreach to the community, different tools that will help people to do that. And right,
Cool.
yeah, what we want to do is we sold some courses, but we figure out we want to do it differently because we want everybody to be able to access that. So we want to do it by donation, give as you wish, and we'll create a fundraiser separately for, angel investors, people that maybe don't even have children but want to invest in this type of alternative education system. So at least we want to have it accessible for free for parents that, like, right now, what do I do? School year started, the kid is at home, they're off the wall. Okay, how can we, bring some order to the chaos and have fun with it too? It's having fun as well. It's really important. It is work and it is labor of love. So got to look at it this way as well.
Wow, that's cool. So we can go to your website and we can find all of that.
So I sent you a link,
Yep.
and right now it won't be working. It'll take us a few more weeks where people can actually access the modules. Uh,
Okay.
I'll have to consult with Michael, the co-founder, again, so they can save the link and you know check, and I will let you know when it's ready to go. So maybe people that and are like, okay, I'm waiting for something like that. We're doing the best we can. They can
Okay.
look up our Facebook page. There's some things there, but um, the website and the access will be available very soon. I want to say within a week.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
That's so great. Because I do know there's some people who are thinking about just pulling their kids just now. They just didn't know what to do until now. The school's just started and they're considering it now. So
Well, in the meantime, I encourage people to start outreaching for other families that may want to do the same. Maybe they didn't even know. You kind of talk to a person and say, "This is what
yes.
did you think?" Oh, yeah, let's start it together. Okay, and I know this and then so and so, and
Yes.
it can be starting even organically once you set the motion going, right?
Yes. Just talking about it to one person can change things.
Right. Energy follows intention. Have the intention, take an action, and it'll happen.
Cool. It's very great. Oh, I love it so much. I don't even have any kids.
But thank you for what you're doing. You're wow, an inspiration.
Well, thank you, Hila. I would say the same about you.
We all do the best we can with what we know best to do, right?
Yes. How long have you been a teacher for?
Ooh, it's been over 25 years. Yeah, I started actually, I moved from Israel, so I was teaching in Israel in high school for a few years.
What?
Yeah, and then I moved here and I was teaching in elementary schools, community centers.
And you were teaching in English in Israel?
I was teaching English, but I wasn't teaching in English. I'm an art teacher by profession, so I was teaching art in
In
Hebrew.
English.
No,
In
no,
Hebrew?
but I
In
was,
Hebrew.
yeah, yeah, Israel, that's the official language. So, yeah.
So, is that where you're from? Where's your accent from?
Yes, yes. I was born in Jerusalem. I grew up in Israel. I moved here when I was already
Oh,
adult, 31.
okay. I couldn't put my finger on it. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, and people think I'm from Quebec and they start speak French so fast. I'm like, whoa, 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 pas très vite. Je ne parle pas très bien. It's not French, the accent, but I wish I could speak French as
I
fast as.
was I was actually told that you were French Canadian, and I was like, I'm French Canadian, so I don't know, but
Yeah, no, I'm a wannabe.
oh, that's great. Wow, lots of rich experience you come from.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's really important these days, I feel, to find our inner core, our inner peace, see where we need to do the work inside and outside. And with respect to our children, to really put them as a priority. because of the, I know for myself, because of the enslavements, and I needed to have a job and do this and do that. I needed the kid needs to be somewhere, right? And the school system is free, is available. It's like we don't even think about it. We did it as a habit. It's something that we all do. But as we come to learn that the system is no longer serving our children, therefore not serving us, therefore not serving humanity in general, then it's important for us to tap into our creativity, into our courage, and find ways to make it better and configure a different system altogether.
Yeah.
For me, I love the community based and the multi-age. I love to incorporate seniors and older people as volunteers.
Hmm.
Such a win-win for everybody. Children really appreciate the older, so to speak, grandparents type of
Aw.
that have more patience and um, a lot of life experience that is enriching. And the same with the seniors. Some of them are far away from their own grandchildren, so they're so enjoying spending time with children.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, the community aspect is, you touched on that earlier, but this is why I began all of this actually. Survival Chicks is because people were calling me and they were like, "What am I going to do about this? How about this? What am I going to do about this?" And I was like, "Okay, well, don't panic." And then, a lot of like the majority of my friends are very much awake and some of them live in condos and they're like, "Listen, if we have a food shortage, what am I going to do?" I was like, "Okay, let's calm down." I'm like, "There's probably somebody that you know or a little old lady who's got a really nice backyard for a garden and she can't do the gardening anymore. So if you were to approach her and you do the gardening and then you guys share the vegetables, like community aspect, there has to be a way. There has to be a way. There are people that are thinking just like you, and so let's come together with those people." So I thought, let's come together with those people. So I just created a little Facebook group to talk about the things that were going on and hopefully try and connect the people together. I don't know how much it's working, but I'm hoping the people are connecting together. Right. And then I moved it to Telegram so that the people who weren't on Facebook could join also, because there's some people who don't want to do Facebook and I get it. So I did a little thing on Telegram. It's not super active, but I'm like, come on, guys, like these are your people. So if you have questions or whatever, if you want to find somebody in your local area, just talk here. And then it grew into like, let's create some solutions. What are solutions to these problems that people are faced and are concerned about? And I think that if we just take action on the things that scare us, that's when we don't get scared anymore. You know, if we know that we've got a food source, then we don't have to worry about there being food shortages because that's not going to affect us anymore. Right. Or at the very least, if we're working on it, we can feel good about the potential of it coming soon. So, yeah.
Love what you're saying. And it's so true because not all of us can move right now, homestead, live on
No.
land, and be happily ever after. So wherever we are, even in the city, at the heart of Vancouver, we can create our own communities. And what you were sharing is a beautiful, perfect example of food security, right? And
Yeah.
preparedness is an issue. And we here in Vancouver have a freedom sale. I don't know if you're familiar with Bob Podolsky and Derek Rose
Rose,
and the
I sure am. Yes.
yeah. So we work on that. It's a work in progress, like everything, right? And sometimes there's a people dynamic that is a bit problematic and challenging. And again, we're learning. We came as a souls in the body on this earth school to learn. So let's be gentle on ourselves and let's do the
And on each other.
best on each other and do the best we can. And we can do it now with whatever we have and wherever we are. And this is kind of you could just breathe into that and you're like, I don't need to be like an urban survival expert. I don't need
Now.
to be like a certified teacher. I don't need to be like a amazing professional gardener. I can just learn from others, bring my own gifts and skills to the community, share, exchange. I think that the economy of exchange and sharing is going to really matter these days, right?
Yes.
We can't eat gold. I love the fact that people invest in precious metals, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying do not. And at the same time, we have basic needs, clean water, food, shelter, all those things that we can help each other with, for sure.
Yes. I am a part of the Freedom Cells. It's a small group over here, way out in the middle of nowhere on the Sunshine Coast, but I'm part of the Freedom Cells and I'm aware of them. And so that is another option for people to meet like-minded humans, meet people that are going to be supportive to their needs, and see if there's anything that you can do to help each other out,
Yes.
to work together.
Yes, yes. We have to. It's, community is our immunity. That was our logo in the beginning of 2020. We did started a community in Vancouver in 2019. And
Wow.
when, shit hit the fan with the pandemic, we were first of all blessed, like everybody was on the same page. So it was easy for us in terms of, what we saw and what we believed in. A few nuances, but pretty much on the same base. And even valuing more community and relationships and creating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I think a lot of people are seeing the value to the community aspect now, to joining forces, to meeting people that are like-minded, like I think people are aware.
And I think it's important for us to learn how to communicate. Communication is key, and in communities, in learning pods, in any new systems, um, it's important to understand that we're different and yet we're all contributing. And how do we do it in a respectful way that we see everybody, we honor everybody, we listen, and yet sometimes we take decisions that may not be of a consensus, or maybe a group decides no, decisions we're taking only by consensus. So it's working those fine tuning details of how to run, let's say, a learning pod in a very smooth way. So that learning curve is, I think, is key and essential to have a strong learning pod where the parents are the leaders and they see themselves that way and they work on themselves, and they're coming from a place of um, wanting to work with harmony and with balance. So again, it always comes to inner work, outer work, communication, good structure in order for the content to flow freely and move us forward in the most beautiful way our hearts desire.
And I think taking responsibility for your actions, but also your life, where you are, and all of the things that you're doing. I think this is, it's kind of almost like it's bringing an opportunity for people to start taking responsibility and doing things the way they want to do, and bringing it back to leading a more aligned perspective, a more aligned life. I feel that the more you are aligned with your values, the more you are in tune, and the more you are able to receive, the more you are open to the gifts of the universe, if you will. Yeah.
Absolutely. And even, if we make mistakes, just self correct, be vulnerable, admit it, take
Yeah. It's
responsibility.
okay. Mistakes
Yeah,
are good.
yeah,
Mistakes are
yeah.
fine.
Because a lot
We're
of
all
people,
we're all gonna make them.
yeah, we're programmed like we don't want to be a failure, we don't want to make mistakes, we have to excel. And it's like, well, yes, and sometimes we do make mistakes. We're humans. And as you said, it's an awesome learning opportunity. And let's
Right.
not be hard on ourselves, but own it, right? Own it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Taking that responsibility. Yeah.
And if we operate like that as parents,
As
as
human beings on this planet.
yes, and in our learning pods, can you imagine how beautiful children can be living here, and as we model them authenticity and honesty and openness and open heart, then that's how they learn. They emulate us, right? They're like sponges. So when we model as learning pods, teachers, leaders, parents, they'll get it. And one thing that I forgot to mention earlier, it's as parents and in general, we want to understand that our children are so intelligent. Like, they are born with those personal instructions of how to be the best version of themselves. And so, it doesn't matter if they go to this system or that system. They don't have to have this certificate or that certificate. They can, but we have to trust that they are intelligent, and they learn all the time, and they know what they need to learn and how they need to learn. And we need to pay attention, listen, and support it and guide them. And sometimes you need to kind of push them back a little bit to more of a, let's say, constructive avenue, but really engage in that in the most heart-centered way. Heart-mind coherence, that's a beautiful technology that we have as human beings, and it's really not that difficult. It's fairly simple to live from that place, model it to our children, and then trust that they will run with it, and they will be successful. They will find their purpose. They would do whatever they want and can to keep on this beautiful life and earth for humanity. We have to trust them.
We have to trust. I think that's a great
That's
line and a great way to end this podcast. We have to trust. We have to trust in them. We have to trust in ourselves. And we just have to trust that it's going to be, I like to trust in the universe, whatever it is that you like to trust in. Sometimes I put my hands together. If I come home and there's challenge after challenge after challenge, I go, okay, can you just make it a little bit easier for me, please? Just a little bit. And then I trust that it's going to calm down. And sure enough, it calms down. I'm like, oh, thank you.
exactly.
And I have to trust. I have to ask also, though. I ask for the right people to be put in my path so that the right doors are opened for me, because I also need some help. I need some guidance, right? So I have to ask, and then I trust that it's going to happen. I just trust that I'm in good hands, and I'm in good hands. I'm always in good hands. So trust. It's a beautiful thing.
So beautifully said, Renee. Wow. Beautiful.
Hila, thank you so much for all the work that you are doing. Such beautiful stuff right there. I'm really excited to follow up with you. I'm excited to go and check out all the new things that are going to be popping up on your website. I'm super excited to show this podcast to people who don't know what to do or how to do it, and for them to have a little bit of insight on perhaps their next steps. So thank you very much for all that you and Michael do. And also, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Would love to follow up, and I'm happy to have parents contact me with challenges related to learning pods. And
Perfect. How did they get a hold of you?
through the website. Through the website.
Okay. And the website is New Earth Network.
So the website is actually, I sent you the link. It's a different title. It's called heartjourney.life.
Heartjourney.life. Okay.
Yeah. And under learning pods, they can find the course and everything, but there's a contact information. So even if the website is not ready yet, but they have some questions that they want to ask me, I'm happy to answer.
Perfect. And then your Facebook page, New Earth Network.
Yes, that's the one.
Perfect. And okay. Well, I think that's a great start. Are you on Instagram as well?
We are, but not very active. So more so Facebook and through the website. That would be the way to go.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Nate.
Okay, bye.
For now.